I don't know if the conservatives made that big of a stink about the Super Bowl this time around.
It's kind of strange, at least in the previews. Oh, here oh, she's being followed. What is happening right now? Riveting. Now, to be fair, she couldn't dance last night. Here we go. She's grabbing her crotch, of course. This happened multiple times last night.
It's hard. It's got to be. Ben's job is hard. Ben's job is hard. He has to find something wrong with every Super Bowl halftime performance, unless it's like, I don't know, like a country singer who doesn't say anything sexual or whatever. So he's like literally hamming it up. Okay? Like, of course, she's holding her crotch. It's like, dude, this was probably the most like reserved halftime show in recent Super Bowl history. It was tame as fuck, partially because Rihanna is like very pregnant. You know what I mean? And he's still like, no, unacceptable. I'm so mad. This is so frustrating.
Because she was pregnant, she was much more modest than women have been in the past on this show. And she's kind of barely bouncing around. My wife and I were laughing at this last night because my wife is 6 months pregnant. So apparently significantly more pregnant than Rihanna. So we're just imagining her doing these dances, which would have been hilarious. But she couldn't do much last night. I get it. I mean, she's pregnant. Now, I have to say, the NFL and she and her agent, they all knew she was pregnant before she did the show. I'm going to suggest that the reason they did not announce that until after the show is specifically because they knew that she was not going to be good. So if they had said before the show, by the way, Rihanna's pregnant, people have been like, is it safe to put a pregnant lady on risers that are going like up 200 feet in the air with no guardrails? Like, is that like the best idea? And if they do it after the show, then that makes a good excuse for her not being very good last night with her COVID crew, her COVID cleanup crew last night. Here she was, once again, grabbing her crotch. There was a lot of crotch grabbage last night. It's still better than it had.
Bro, he's trying so hard. He's trying so hard,
Has been
dude.
At the Super Bowl for quite a while because the Super Bowl has been kind of a center of Vegas-style degradation for a long time. She's the most clothed that any of these female pop stars has been for quite a while. Here she was doing some crotch grabbing, of course. She's grabbing her butt. And now she has a tail or something. There's the COVID crew.
That's so funny. He can't find anything. He's just they're on autopilot, dude. They're on autopilot. He's like, yeah, it's Satan or whatever. Okay, she's grabbing her crotch. Vegas style degradation, he said.
Of kids who didn't watch the halftime show, they did. I mean,
I'm not even kidding. I think like Ben is more mad that it wasn't hornier. One, because he secretly likes it, and two, because he can't complain about anything. So he's like, this sucks.
Millions of kids watched the halftime show. The NFL knows this. This was less offensive than most of the shows. And just on a pure aesthetic level, it's a bad show. On a pure aesthetic level, it was 20 minutes of the same thing over and over. And all of her songs, I hate to say it, they sound the same. They have no range. She can't sing. It's an unpopular thing, but that's what we do here on the Ben Shapiro Show. We have unpopular.
What? Yo, that's okay. That's a wild take. Get his ass. Twitter, do your thing. Okay.
Popular cultural opinions that are significantly more controversial, apparently, than like my opinions about politics, which is kind of amazing to me. But if I say two things, one, it's nice that she's pregnant, and two, she did a crap show last night, then everybody loses it. No, it was an amazing show, and you will love it. She's a beautiful woman of color who's pregnant. You will love that show. You will love it. And if you mention that it was a bad show and it was very unentertaining and incredibly boring, this
dude, he's literally okay. Here's the funny thing. This betrays the argument that he constantly makes, which is that like you can't make like hypersexualized crazy displays because then he'll say it's satanistic, right? And perverted. But when you do a modest show as a consequence of your like pregnancy, a more modest show by every fucking measure, so modest that even Ben has to fucking recognize it, then it's like kind of boring. And he wants to say it's boring, but also simultaneously it's like, bitch, you want it to be boring. And when it's boring, you're like mad that it's boring. You can't win with these fucking freaks, dude. That's crazy. That's crazy. If it's interesting and crazy and you know, there's a lot of like these wild displays, then it's like, oh, well, you know what? It's fucked up. Fucked up. It's too horny. I don't like it. It's satanistic. They're perverting our children. You know, children should not be watching this. Okay? But when it's like modest, then he's like, well, it's modest because it's good, but also she's pregnant, so it's kind of boring.
This is probably because you're some sort of bigot. I mean, pretty sure it's just because it was kind of a boring show. It's kind of boring. So, you know, there's your breakdown. So, the Super Bowl overall, it wasn't like super duper woke. It wasn't as woke as it was in past years. It didn't even have the same level of controversy as it did last year when it was a bunch of rappers who actually had criminal histories.
That wasn't even controversial. Who gives a fuck? What? No. Who found that to be controversial? No one. Also, Super Bowl being woke is not necessarily controversial either. What the fuck?
Like Disney.
Bro, when he talks about like controversial rappers with criminal histories, he's talking about Snoop Dogg, Eminem, and Dr. Dre, by the way. Like, what?
A lot. I like Disneyland a lot. We were annual pass members in my family, but I'm not willing to patronize the same people who then subsidize a bunch of wokesters to indoctrinate my kids. I'm not willing.
Okay. Anyway, love this. He's kind of bent that he can't really like go too crazy over it.